everything that's going on. And we are live, guys. So today, Mr. Spade is back to talk a little bit about my top 5 favorite Gibson pickups and the kind of difference they've really made to me. The most important things I really want to address are what are my top 5 favorites and what kind of music do I feel they relate best to. And obviously, I do want to talk about some general opinions and some of the things that I've heard from the community, which is super cool. As usual, I know a lot of people have a lot of opinions, and everybody's entitled to that. You know what? Everybody is entitled to their own onion, okay? And that's what makes it worth it, right? So let's get into this, and let's talk a little bit about the top 5. Now, let me just get on over here, and I'm going to try and do this in order, even though I don't have it queued up or anything like that. But I'm going to talk about the first set of pickups that I think is really incredible from Gibson, and this is kind of underrated in my opinion. And it's because the guitar that it comes in is kind of underrated and not really, it's not exactly one of the guitars that's always on the forefront of Gibson, but it's one of my all-time favorites. And that specific guitar would be a Gibson Firebird. So that means that the Gibson Firebird pickups are my number 5 pick for one of the best Gibson pickups ever made. And most of the pickups that I'm going to talk about today are more on the consumer side, but when I talk about Firebird pickups, I don't know if you guys have heard what they sound like. They sound absolutely awesome. They are clear, they're strong, they have character. They kind of edge out their own thing, and there's something that you can't really emulate in anything else, right? A lot of people mistake those as mini humbuckers because they do seem like mini humbuckers. They're very close, but they are super strong, and they do have their own unique sound, and that's what makes Firebirds so unique as guitars, right? So when I talk about that, I just want to let you guys know that the Firebird does have an Alnico 5 kind of a magnet, so it is a very hot pickup. And it does work better for hotter types of music. But the cool thing is, it doesn't lose any of the clarity, right? Even though it's super responsive like any Alnico 5 pickup, I feel like the Firebird just as a guitar really embodies that tone, this powerful, strong, ripping tone. It cuts through the mix every time. It's so cool. And the coolest thing about that is it also sustains really well. So this is where having a number 5 as this pickup is, I mean, I can't say enough about it because based on the music that I've heard made from a Firebird, honestly, it does have its own thing, which is not something that you can say for every PAF or every humbucker type pickup. Because a lot of them are trying to emulate that, you know, that 59 sound, the patent applied for sound, and so many amazing boutique pickups and so many individual independent pickup makers are creating either replicas or things that sound almost exactly like a 59 Gibson pickup. But a Firebird is not meant to do that. It is its own thing, just like the guitar, which is its own thing, and it is just awesome. A couple of good recommendations that I can give you is you guys should go and listen to Tim Skold. He's one of my favorite Firebird players. If you look at his run with Manson back in, I think, 2004 to 2008, sometime around like that, you will listen to some incredible tones from the Gibson Firebird and what the pickup is supposed to embody. So that's my number 5. It is an amazing, powerful, cut-through, very sharp, but still clear and full of body sort of a tone coming from the Gibson Firebird pickup. And yeah, that's number 5. Now, moving on to number 4. Just give me a second while I pick this out. Boy, there's a lot of choices here. You know, I had to really go through it and really decide what would be perfect for all of these. And when I think about number 4, I want to go and take you guys to right here. This is a Gibson Les Paul Studio, all right, a 2019, and it comes with the 498T. So the 498T is my number 4 pick for one of the best Gibson pickups that I've ever used. And I'll tell you what, a lot of people see that this pickup is offered on tributes and studios, but they forget that it's also offered on the customs, which are like the top end lineup. I'm talking about the solid color customs or the two-tone customs like the Silver Burst, or obviously the Alpine White customs, which are beautiful, or the Black Beauty, right? So what you want to think about here is that the 498T is an Alnico 5 pickup. This Alnico 5 pickup is, first off, super responsive, very modern sort of a tone, okay? It's not as sharp as a Firebird pickup like we just discussed, but it is pretty sharp, and it does cut through, and it does really sustain so well. It has such a singing high quality to it, and that's one of the things that I really, really like about it, because it distorts so well without going into the whole fuzzy sort of a tone. And that's what makes it almost a perfect studio sort of a pickup, because it does have body, but at the same time it does have a lot of bite. And it's called the Hot Alnico pickup. So being a number 4 for my favorite bridge pickups, definitely it's I mean, there was a time I had this pickup in 3 of my guitars, and well suited, so because I record a lot, and it helps really when you're trying to record some of these hard rock solos and you're trying to go into the heavy alternative sort of a tone. It's really, really cool. So the 498T is an incredible bargain as well. It's not one of the most expensive Gibson pickups, but it's not the cheapest either. But at the same time, it does fall into that upper mid-range, right under the Burstbucker Pros and the 57 Classics and so on. And yeah, there's not much more that I can say about this, except for the fact that you get clarity, but you also get a strong amount of bite with it. It's a hot tone, all right? And I think it's very well suited for number 4, because it does fall right after, let's say, the sharpest pickups that I know, which are the Firebird pickups. And I mean, I don't know if you guys are into studios or not, but studios are pretty much the embodiment of modern Gibson Les Pauls. And I think these pickups fit it perfectly, because it's a very modern tone. You can play classic rock with these, or you can play, heavy metal. You can play alternative rock. You can even go deeper, and you can play super heavy metal. You can even gent with these pickups, because they do distort really, really well. Obviously, a lot depends on your amp setups and your overdrive pedals and so, but it's something that I found to be a really, really great shout out for number 4. All right, so now I'm going to take you guys to number 3, and I had to really, really think about this, because there's just not as much balance between the ideas of traditional and modern pickups, but there's a lot of choice, which is what matters, right? So when I was thinking about this, I want to take you guys and really look at what I thought would be the perfect number 3 pickup. And this is a pickup that I very recently started using, and this is the Gibson 61T pickup. So I recently picked myself up a Les Paul Standard 60s, and I've talked about that a little bit if you've checked out a couple of my other videos. But here's what I gotta say about these pickups, okay? In line with the whole hotter to the more stable and a more warm sort of a tone, right? This pickup falls really, really well in line. So it still has hot tone, okay? But it definitely has more body than a 498T. And I think that's what I really, really like about it, because I do enjoy recording with different kinds of tones. And I would say that this is very well suited to any type of music. But at the same time, I do think that this is more suited towards a little bit more classic sort of a tone. I mean, you're still going to be able to do any kind of music with it, but the vibe that you first get with it is more of like 80s or 90s hard rock, which is obviously a lot of people's favorites. So I got to say this. When you look at all of the other pickups that I've mentioned so far, like the 498T or the Firebird pickups, this is a lot more versatile than those pickups, because it's still hot, but at the same time, it just brings a bit more body to it. And I think this was a really, really great choice to add into the Les Paul Standard 60s, because it's a very 60s, a bit more modern than your normal PAF kind of a tone. And at the same time, you'll find these in your Les Paul Classics as well. The only difference is, here, you've got them covered up, whereas on the Classics, you don't have them covered up. So really, guys, I think that this is the kind of situation where you want to think more on the lines of, what kind of music do I play? And how many different styles do I play? I know a lot of musicians who can really, really be chameleons and play so many different types of music. This pickup is recommended for anybody like that. So if you're somebody who's into that kind of a thing, yeah, I think the 61T as a bridge pickup is a really, really awesome pickup. And I know people have wildly deep preferences on pickups, so before you kill me and you tell me that I'm completely wrong, let me know in the comments below. And you know what? you can help me out a little bit more. Let me plug it a little bit. Sub to my channel and like it for more podcasts that I do like this, for more videos. I do love talking about this stuff, so this is kind of like this is kind of a win-win situation for everybody here if you enjoy listening to stuff like this. So now that I've talked a little bit about the 61T, I want to talk a little bit more about the number 2 spot on this list. All right. The number 2 spot is a pickup that's very, very close to my heart, and it's a pickup that people love. All right. I've seen people really, really vouch for this pickup as pretty much the best Gibson pickup made in the consumer lineup, and I would tend to agree. All right. It's also not an El Nico 5 pickup. All right. I'll try and describe it so you can guess if you want to. It's not an El Nico 5 pickup. It's an El Nico 2 pickup. It has very, very strong clarity and very, very good body at the same time, and it's considered to be the best definition that Gibson has offered within the past 20, 30 years on the consumer lineup, not the custom shop lineup. All right, so it's not a custom shop pickup. If you know what I'm talking about, leave me in the comments below, and I'm just going to venture over to that pickup right now, and we'll talk about it. Let's see here. I don't have a drum roll, but here we go. What you're looking at on the screen is the Les Paul Standard 2010. Okay, so the pickup that I'm talking about was on these standards, and it was on a lot of standards and classics over the years. It was also on the 2018 Studio. All right, very, very amazing tone. I'm talking about the Gibson 57 Classic pickup. All right, so the bridge pickup, which is what this list is about, is a 57 Classic Plus. All right, so this pickup is an El Nico 2 pickup. It is probably the most body heavy but still maintaining clarity sort of a pickup that I've ever tried from Gibson. All right, and from the opinions that I've read and from the people who have vouched for this pickup, I gotta say this. Honestly speaking, if you are doing studio recordings and if you want the best all-rounder pickup in the Gibson range, there's almost nothing that even comes close. It's like if you're venturing into Seymour Duncan, and if you're checking out, let's say, DiMarzio, and maybe you're looking at a lot of these other pickup manufacturers, you're still not going to be able to find anything that makes your single notes sustain like crazy and maintain the quality and the richness of that crisp tone for so long. I mean, I've got guitars that I put this in. I put this into an Epiphone Les Paul Custom, and the thing would sustain forever. You couldn't stop the thing ringing. Like, it was just this clear, strong tone. So not only does it sustain, it doesn't lose that richness, right? And that's very, very unique. Now, this is an El Nico 2 pickup, all right? It's hot because it is a 57 Classic Plus. It's supposed to be hotter, so it's a little bit over round compared to the normal 57 Classic, but it is built to perfect PAF specs, right? It's just over round a little bit. This is supposed to be the perfect patent applied for, not the way that they made it in the 59 era, because back when they were making those, they weren't perfectly matched. The coils weren't always over and under round. They weren't perfectly balanced back then. But the 57 Classic Plus is very much supposed to embody the clearest tone that you can get from PAF tone, and also give you something with a little bit more power at the same time. And this is a pickup that really bursts with tone and clarity and body, and it's just, man, this thing sustains forever. And I had a Les Paul 2010 Traditional, and it just sounded amazing, right? And I remember checking out these pickups, and this is one of Gibson's, highest priced pickups as well. So if you were picking one of these up for your guitars, you're going to have to pay, let's say, almost top dollar for it, but it's very much worth it. I don't think there's an alternative to this. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of people talking about alternatives and close buys. Like, I know the Slash El Nico 2s come close to this pickup, but they're not the same thing, all right? And this is where I really, really want to recommend the 57 Classic Plus as a bridge pickup as my number 2 pick. And now I'm going to go to my number 1 pick for what I think is the very, very best Gibson consumer lineup pickup ever. And I didn't know how big of a deal these were until I really tried them out. And I had absolutely no idea until I messed with those knobs a little bit and checked out the tones. And this would be on, I don't know if I have a drum roll for you, but this would be on a custom shop R9 sort of a guitar. So this is going to be on the reissues. This is the Gibson Custom Bucker, okay? So the Custom Bucker by far is the most sweetest sounding the one with the most character, the pickup with the best sustain, and the richness and the clarity. I mean, there's just almost no comparison to this pickup, right? These are wound individually in the custom shop. They say no two are wound exactly the same, and they're supposed to sound great. It is basically meant to be a clone of the patent applied for pickup from the 1959 burst, and so on. So this is very much the pickup that you want. And you know what? The crazy thing is there's actually a lot of these selling on the internet, and you can find them you can even find them on eBay sometimes. So if you want to pick one of these up, you probably have to look a little bit. And definitely, I mean, if you don't want to look too much, you can always pick yourself up like an R9 or an R8 and so and so. But I do think that when it comes to the iconic Gibson tone for Gibson humbuckers, you will find the very, very best in a custom bucker. And the bridge custom buckers sound incredible, guys. Like, honestly speaking, if you're thinking about rock music, people may say, oh, it's a vintage tone, which it is, because it was a tone back then. But I'm telling you, if you were to stick that custom bucker into one of your Les Pauls and play, let's say, a modern rock song, or even like, let's say, let me throw out some names here. If you were to play like a Linkin Park song, or like a Deftones song, or like a Tool song, it really would be able to not only handle it, it would be able to handle it beautifully, because they all have a different voice, but they are humbuckers, guys. The humbucker is the ultimate modern and classic tone. So what I want to say here is this is my number one pick, because not only is it an iconic and an incredible pickup, it's something that's almost unrivaled. You're not going to be able to find anything like this in any other guitar company or any other pickup company. Yes, you will find pickup clones that sound incredible from other manufacturers, and I know there's so many different boutique pickup winders who are creating incredible pickups. But remember, this is a custom bucker built in the custom shop by Gibson themselves, who are the ones who started it all. That's the original. You've got people, experts who are working for the company and who are licensing this, saying that, you know what, this is it. All right. Now, I'm not too sure about the specs on the magnet on this, but I do know that it's supposed to be an Alnico 3 pickup. I could be wrong on this, so do not kill me. Do not come rushing and tell me I'm completely wrong, because I could be. But what you want to know is these are supposed to sound exactly like the original patent applied for Gibson pickups. I've tried out 3 of them, and I got to play an original 59 Gibson Les Paul in Los Angeles, and honestly speaking, it really does give you a very, very, if not exactly the same, because I know people will go crazy, it does give you very much a tone that's almost exactly reminiscent of that 59 Les Paul Burst legendary tone. All right, so that's what I wanted to talk about. And guys, this is my top 5. Please don't kill me. I do think that a lot of people have a lot of opinions, and it's very, very impersonal, right? People are always going to have their favorites in terms of the pickups that they love. And, I've seen guitars which are super, super cheap that have incredible pickups. If I was to give a special shout out to some of these pickups, I'd probably talk about the Epiphone Alnico Classic Pros. These are Alnico 5 pickups. They're not as clear as high quality US pickups, but they do have a tone to them. They have a voice. I love that. Let me give you another shout out from the East. If you look at the LTD Eclipse pickups, you'll be so surprised. They sound super, super nice. I'm not talking about the Seymour Duncans that they stick on the Eclipse 1000s. I'm talking about the ESP made Eastern pickups. They sound awesome, right? These are a couple of shout outs for Eastern made, but you know what? I'm going to do a separate video on that. I'm going to talk about Eastern made pickups and which ones I think are best. I don't have a lot of experience with those, but I do have some experience with those. And I do think that some Eastern made pickups are severely underestimated, because they do sound incredible depending on the context that you put them into. And you know what? Last note, no matter what pickups you have, a lot depends on your guitar. They're not all going to sound the same in the same guitar. They're going to sound different. And your setup, your action does make a difference, right? It needs to be a good setup. It needs to be a good action that really brings out that crispness, There's a lot of factors that go into it, but my my 2 cents in the end of the day is this. These are my top 5, and let me know if you agree with me. Let me know if you disagree, and let's have a conversation about that. If you are new to the channel, I know this is a very, very small channel, but I do have quite a few people that do engage. I want to tell you guys to drop me a like and do sub to my channel because it does mean a lot to me. And you know what? If you're into more of these videos, stay tuned and you let me know. I will be making a lot more of these videos talking about all this great gear that we are blessed with, right? Thanks, guys. This is Mr. Spade signing out. See you next time.